this election is very important, and it's a change election. We'll talk more about why it's important right now. But right now, out of sight of a lot of people, including a lot of Black people, there's a lot of confusion that's going on, and it's designed to really shift a small percentage of Black voters into Trump's column, and just enough to shift the election. And I wouldn't even be dealing with this group ADOS if it wasn't for that, because I don't believe in giving publicity to negatives. But in this particular case, they've given themselves enough, and as will be pointed out by the two experts here, they've been given help. So I just want to put this discussion in context. Since 1968, which ushered in the second post-Reconstruction under Richard Nixon, which was a period of time, the first post-Reconstruction is when the gains of the Reconstruction of the 1865 through 1875 had gained the right to vote and participate in government and so forth, was rolled back. And since 1968, there's been a rollback on Black gains. But particularly the Black community has been hit hard. And it's been hit hard by globalization that took jobs out of the Black community and played a major role in breaking up Black families. There's a direct correlation between the loss of good paying manufacturing jobs and other good paying jobs and Black men out of the household between 1986 and, 1986, 1976 and 1982. 700,000 Black men lost their jobs and 700,000 Black men left the family. There's a correlation between the lack of viable work and the presence of Black men in the family in a two-parent household. So Black families went from 75% two-parent household for 100 years, 1865 really to 1968, to now 29% two-parent households. And American families are now at 50% two-parent households when they had been at 75% before, also because of the hit on good-paying jobs that went overseas. Big business made that decision. With that came drugs in the Black community in the 80s, and it drove a wedge between the young and the old. And what we've seen is, for the first time in our history, a real weakening of both the family, extended family community, and respect for elders, and some elders' respect for youth. And we've seen the rise of the generation gap and a disrespect for elders like we've never seen before. And so now we have what I call, and this comes from God, I don't have time to go into it now, I've gone into it before, this show will cover it more, because I've been privileged to pipe into God's mind a couple of times, and because I'm not smart enough to have come up with this. These forces that have hit our community have caused a choice between two cultures. And so for the first time in our people's history, we have a situation where our people have been put in the position, particularly young people, of choosing between African-American culture and Euro-American culture. And often these choices are unconscious when they are made. And so as a result, we now see some people doing things that we have never seen before. And what I would say is that the emergence of ADOS hits this rift. And so therefore, a group like this can emerge and in part being the result of external forces, which the experts here will discuss, but in part play upon the confusion that has been caused by these external forces. We've always been historical amnesiacs, but never have we been in a position where some of us could step outside our culture. So I'm going to give only two and then get into the question. The two areas in which the hip hop generation has been most vulnerable, and the rest, they have continued African-American culture, has been one on the issue of whether the individual comes first or the group comes first. One of the things that we found for those who step outside their culture is too often they place the individual before the group. And therefore, that can be played upon by external forces. And the second thing is, my great aunt, she always had a teaching that she always taught, and she taught that people before money. That's been key in our culture, and I think that's the key in all African cultures. But now we have a big shift where a whole lot of young people, not all, but too many, place money first. So those two open us up. But the key point is, in a choice between two cultures, there's always two choices. Black Lives Matter indicates that this younger generation has made some profoundly right cultural choices, and in some cases better than we made before. They've learned lessons from us. So that's the background that I wanted to lay for this discussion.